Those of us who study education policy see some very clear patterns in the world that make us worry about American education. For example, if you look at our 15-year-olds and you compare what kind of knowledge they have in math and science to those in other countries, given the amounts of money we spend and the fact that we pride ourselves on being a great nation on earth, we look pretty mediocre, actually. Surprisingly, there's little evidence that more money means better results. The amount of money that the US has been spending per student has been rising pretty rapidly over the last few decades. And yet we don't see clear evidence that this has led to improved outcomes of the kind we care about. So what could we be doing better? The interesting thing about the countries that do a better job of educating their students is that they don't all have a single approach. But I think a difference in mentality is a very big part of it. In Finland, for example, there is a very clear philosophy that absolutely all students are capable of learning. There is no acceptance of very large achievement gaps between rich and poor. The assumption is that you can get any kid in the school system to where you want them to be when they leave. Now, Finland is an extremely homogeneous society, and that certainly makes their job somewhat easier than our job. On the other hand, Finland does have its share of poor students and increasingly a number of immigrants to the country, and they still manage to succeed. Interestingly, in the Finnish system, they do almost none of the kind of standardized testing we do in this country. So when Finland took these international exams and they found out that the results were that they were number 1 or number 2 in the world, they were actually shocked, because they had actually never really measured their students' achievement with these kind of standardized exams. And yet, something is working. With Asian cultures, the one very interesting contrast is that where we think that math is an innate ability that we're born with, their notion is actually much more that math ability comes from hard work. And so you see lots of evidence that students in other countries, particularly these high-performing countries in Finland, in Korea, in Japan, the students receive the message from the schools that the effort they put in is what's going to drive their results. It's not something about what they're born with. The Korean school system is famous for actually having extremely large class sizes. Classes might have 40 or 50 students instead of the 20 that we think is the right size for a classroom. What allows that to happen is that there's a very clear culture in that school system that teachers are highly competent professionals and that when students are in their classrooms, they are behaving with that in mind. Interestingly, Finland also has what I would call a virtuous cycle. Teaching in that country is considered one of the highest prestige professions you can enter. Teachers are a very, very selected, talented subset of the population. So teaching becomes this extremely respected profession, which then attracts talented people. I don't think we have that cycle going in this country yet, and that might be something for us to think about.